Good morning. My name is Deborah, and I welcome you here this morning. Please stand and join us in our opening song, Use Me. The words will be on the screen. Use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. I used to think God was the sun, God is the sun, but God's so much more than the earth or the stars or all of creation. God is creator, all in all, leading us to shine its light as me, as you, so use me. Oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Command my hands, what must they do? Command my life, it's here for you. God is the love that heals all creation. God is creator, makes all things new, and God needs us to shine its light as we, as you, so use me. Oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. You may be seated. Welcome. Welcome to the Creative Living Fellowship Sunday morning service. My name is Deborah Covington, and I am pleased to be your host for the service today. Hello to our viewers online. If you are visiting online, we would appreciate you leaving a message so that we can acknowledge your presence and welcome. For those of you here in person, we do have some first-time visitors, as well as a return of a visitor that hasn't been with us for a while. First, I would like to welcome Monica and Robin from San Francisco, I understand. Thank you for joining us. If you did not sign up on our registration out in the front lobby, please do that so that you can receive information from us online about, in email actually, about all the happenings here at CLF. And we welcome you here into our hearts. Thank you for joining us. I also want to take just a moment and welcome Daryl back. It's been a while, and thank you for joining us again. Welcome. Let me tell you just a little bit about CLF. Creative Living Fellowship is an independent religious science church, and we honor all paths that lead to truth. Our deep intention here is to be a community of love, care, and connection that opens hearts, expands consciousness, and transforms lives. And we do that through the principles and practices of the science of mind and spirit. The science of mind is a new thought, ancient wisdom teaching that provides us with the tools for living our best possible lives. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, said, I live in the faith that there is a presence that and a power that is greater than I am, that nurtures and supports me in ways I could not even imagine. Let's take those words in for a moment. So here's a bit about the order of service for today. Our practitioner and animal chaplain, Fran Peck, facilitated our pre-service meditation today, and she is also holding high watch for this service. This means that she is sitting in meditation and prayerful contemplation, holding the space for the perfect unfoldment of this service. Thank you, Fran, for your consistent service. Reverend Mary Jane Hyde is serving as our practitioner of the day, and she will be offering our evocation. That will be followed by our congregational chant, The World. I think most of us do know this, however, our newcomers do not, so the words will be on the screen. I really encourage you to take these words in because they have deep, deep meaning, and you can be interactive with them as well, too. Today, our musical inspiration and one half of our house duo is Victoria Fairclough, and Erin is the other part of the house duo, and she will be singing our inspiration. She will be our inspirational music today. The lyrics for the chant will be on the screen, and after the chant, Mary Jane Hyde, Reverend Mary Jane Hyde, will be back with the inspirational reading of the day. Right now, here is Reverend Mary Jane with our evocation.
Good morning. So we're going to go into meditation. So let's just relax, let go, close your eyes, just kind of relax and let go of anything that we were brought in here today, anything about getting here, any issues, anything that's going on with us. We're just going to let all that go. We just want for these moments to be relaxed. We want to be at peace if we can. And we want to be in the presence of that divine energy, the divine energy that is us, that is at the center of us. It is us. It is expressing in, through, and as each of us. We are individualized expressions of that one presence, that one energy, that one peace. And it's in this energy that we rest. And in this energy, we know that there is just God. God is love and peace and harmony. God is health. God is infinite knowledge. God is peace. And God is love. And that is what we call forth. These attributes of the divine we call forth through us, as we go through this service, as we experience this service at Creative Living Fellowship, whether we're serving, whether we're just here to listen, to be. That divine energy is what we're calling forth, to let it just flow through us, as we go about this service, as we listen to the words that are that Reverend Sherry speaks, that Reverend Sherry delivers, that are divinely guided words. And as we listen to the music, as we just participate in this as Creative Living Fellowship. And so I know that all is in divine order. I know that all is, and I accept for this service that all is as it should be, and all are spiritually fed through the words, through the music, through the fellowship. And so it is with gratitude, with deep gratitude, I let go, I release. And I know, and together we say, and so it is.
The world is a place of great love for all. The world is a place of great light for all. When all's said and done, we're all from the one. The world is a place of great peace. I am a place of great love for all. I am a place of great light for all. When all's said and done, we're all from the one. Oh, I am a place of great peace. You are a place of great love for all. You are a place of great light for all. When all's said and done, we're all from the one. Oh, you are a place of great peace. We are a place of great love for all. We are a place of great light for all. When all's said and done, we're all from the one. Oh, we are a place of great peace. The world is a place of great peace.
So our reading today is I Surrender Myself to God from the Meditations of the Heart by Howard Thurman. The central element in communion with God is the act of self-surrender. The symbol of my prayer this day is the open heart. It is most natural for me to think of prayer in terms of open hand. My needs are so great and often so desperate that there seems to be naught besides my own urgency. I must open my heart to God. This will include my own deep urgencies and all the warp and woof of my desiring. These things deep within I must trust with the full awareness that more important even than self-realization is the true glorifying of God. Somehow I must make God central to me and in me, over and above the use to which I wish or need to put his energy and his power. I surrender myself to God without any conditions or reservations. I shall not bargain with him. I shall not make my surrender piecemeal. I shall lay bare the very center of me, and all of my very being shall be charged with the creative energy of God. As this happens, I come into meaning of true freedom, and the burdens that I seemed unable to bear are floated in the current of life and the love of God. The central element in communion with God is the act of self-surrender. Namaste.
I love you, Lord. For your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, Oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have held me through the fire in darkest nights. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend. And I have lived in the goodness of God. Sing it with me. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I give you everything. Oh, your goodness is running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Oh, I will sing, it's running after, it's running after me. All my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Oh, I will sing. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I'm gonna sing of the goodness of God. Oh, I'm gonna sing of the goodness of God.
Thank you, Victoria. Let's take a breath, everybody. Good morning. So good to see everybody. I'm so moved in this moment by Victoria's music this morning because I witnessed her opening up and allowing God to sing through her this day in a way that you can't know, that she opened up and just allowed God to be God this day as her voice coming through her. And that's just from her opening up. And thank you. I really appreciate you, and I really appreciate the music. And she could sing. So, let's take a breath again and say it along with me, please. Can you believe it's December already? Mary Jane beat me to it earlier today, but I still have to say, can you believe another month has passed? This is the last month in the year. And of course, we have a new theme this month, and the theme is for the love of God. For the love of God. Let's breathe that in, for the love of God. And I don't mean it in the sense that sometimes you hear people say, for the love of God, would you be quiet? For the love of God, would you stop? So no, that's not it. This is for the love of God. For the love of God. And that's what we're going to be talking about all month, for the love of God. And not what we can do to earn God's love, not what we can do to deserve God's love, not what we can do to make God love us or to keep God from not loving us. That's not what for the love of God is all about. It's about experiencing the love of God. It's about opening up so that we can experience and express the love of God, because God is love itself. And it is always present. It is always available. And as we open ourselves to be available to it, then we get a chance to express it according to our own uniqueness, according to our own individuality, according to who we are. And so that's what we're going to be looking at throughout the month, this month. And this month we also, as you know, are celebrating Christmas. We're celebrating the birth of Jesus and the birth of the Christ consciousness. And so as we move through this time and celebrating all of this, it's all about celebrating love, the love that God is, and the love that, as I said, that expresses in and through and as each one of us. And we are here to be revealers of God's love. And the only way we can reveal God's love is when we are at one with God and open to allowing it to be expressed, to be experienced and expressed by each one of us. And so today I'm going to talk about the holiness in intimacy. The holiness in intimacy. I was looking for Nicole to tell me what the topic was today. The holiness in intimacy. And intimacy I'm talking about because we can only experience God's love because of our relationship with God. And each of us has a relationship with God. And it's up to each one of us to decide what that relationship is. What does your relationship with God look like? What does it feel like? How do you experience it? Or do you have a relationship with God? Because no relationship with God at all is a relationship in itself. And so I'd like us, as we go through this day, as we go through this month, to really look at what is our relationship with God? What kind of relationship do we have with God? Do you have a casual relationship with God? Do you have a drop-in relationship with God? Do you have I was reading something this week about new things that are called situationships that people have with each other. Those is when they're uncommitted relationships. And they, for particular situations, people get together and hook up. And so they now call them situationships. Do we have a situationship with God? Because sometimes, we get together with God for hook up also, for situations that come up, untoward situations, problems, issues that come up, then we run to God for it. And then once that's resolved, then we go on about our way. And that's not what we really need to experience and express the love of God. What we really need is that intimate relationship with God. An intimate relationship with God. Intimacy meaning closeness and connection and openness. And just think about the relationships that we have with each other, the relationships that we have with other people, the relationships that we have in our own lives, an intimate relationship with a partner. When we have an intimate relationship with a partner, we're looking to be close to them. We're looking to be connected to them, looking to communicate with them, looking to be open and sharing and caring and together spending as much time as we can and walking the path, walking the road together. That's how our relationship with God can be. That's how our relationship with God should be, something that is really close, that is really connected, that is really open, that is really always. There's the word that comes up that is really always. That we're always seeking, to deepen in, that we're always seeking to experience more and more and more. Because when we really love somebody, we want to spend as much time with them as we possibly can. We want to share as much of our lives with them as we can. We want to share as much of ourselves with them as we can. And we want them to share as much with us. This is what our relationship with God should be, because there's only one relationship, and that's our relationship with God. And so as we are in our relationship with God is the way we are in our relationships with each other. And as we are in our relationships with each other is the way we are in our relationships with God. There's only one. Whatever, there's only one. There's only one. And so I'm inviting you today to really start to look at, what is your relationship with God? How is your relationship with God? How much intimacy do you have? How much time do you spend? How much listening do you do? How much communicating do you do? This is, as I say always, the science of mind is a teaching of personal responsibility. And each of us is responsible for our own lives. Each of us is responsible for our own relationship. Each of us is responsible for our own journey through this life. And so we can be more and more and more in tune with God, depending on the relationship that we decide that we're going to have. Depending again on how much time we're going to spend, depending on the communication, depending on the trust factor, depending on so many things. And so as you look at the relationship that you have, my question for you is, are you willing to develop a deeper relationship? Are you willing to develop a closer relationship? Are you willing to develop a more intimate relationship? Are you willing to develop the relationship where you know that this is my only love and I am its only love? And then that begins to outpicture in our lives in all sorts of ways that we can't even imagine. And when we get into this intimate relationship with God, and when we deepen in it, when we deepen in our prayer work, when we deepen in our alone time, when we deepen in our meditation practice, when we deepen in all the things that we do in relationships, then our intimacy with God gives birth to the Christ consciousness within each one of us. It's the intimacy that we have with God that gives birth to the Christ consciousness within each of us. That Christ consciousness that is seeking to be birthed through us happens as a result of the intimate relationship that we have. And so I invite you to really look at, what is your relationship? How is it going to be? What does it feel like? What does it look like? Is your relationship filled with love? Is it filled with trust? Is it filled with communication? Is it filled with honor? Is it filled with truthfulness? Is it filled with all these things that we want relationships to be filled with? Is this the way that our relationship with God is showing up? Is this the way that our relationship with God is showing up? Or do we shortchange it sometimes? I'm too tired tonight to meditate. I don't feel like it this morning. I don't want to talk. I don't want to whatever, If you were doing that with another human, how would that work? How would you expect that relationship to unfold if we don't ever have enough time, if we don't ever feel like talking, if we don't ever want to spend the time, if we don't trust each other, if we don't communicate with each other? What would that look like? How would that relationship show? How would you show up in the relationship? How successful would that relationship be? How intimate would that relationship be? It's the same way with God. It's the same way in our relationship with God. Let's take a breath. Sometimes we get into situations where we are trusting, we are talking, we are sharing, and we are going along and everything's going fine. And then an issue comes up, a problem comes up. And then we start to doubt each other, or we start to not trust, we start to get anxious, we start to get fearful, and all those kinds of things come up. This is the same thing we do in our relationships with God. We get fearful, we get anxious, we start to doubt. And when we start to do that, the first place we go is away from God. I always say, first stop God. When there's a problem, first stop God. And it's not the time to go away. It's a time to come to. It's a time to return unto God. And so that's what I'm inviting us to do today, to learn to really recognize that God is our constant companion. God is our constant companion. If God is everywhere present, and there's not a spot where God is not, and if there's never a time that we can depart from God's care, from God's presence, then God must be our constant companion. And wouldn't you want to have an intimate relationship with a constant companion, somebody who's with you always, somebody who's always there, someone who's always supporting, someone who's always loving, someone who's always right there? Then I think that we really want to be in that place where we know that when we are returning unto this companion who's always here, that we can always share, we can always listen, we can always trust, we can always, the word that came up was argue. Because that's what I tend to do sometimes. We can always argue. We can. I was reminded of, I had an appointment on Friday, and it was a place I had not been before, but it was an area in which I was very familiar, with which I was very familiar, is what I'm trying to say. And I had decided that the route that I was going to take driving, because I don't drive a lot anymore since the pandemic, and so I was trying to remember how to get there. It's not that deep. It's down on Camelback from where I live. But at any rate, I had decided this is the way I'm going to go. I'm going to go through the city. I'm going to go straight down Tatum, turn on Camelback, and go straight down. And I was a little bit later leaving home than I expected to be. So as I was leaving the house, I heard, take the freeway, go to 51, and get off at Glendale. It was like, well, why would I do that? I'm going to drive through the city. I'm going to drive straight down Tatum and turn right on Camelback. So I heard again, take the freeway, get on the 51 and go that way. And it's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to drive down. I'm going to drive down Tatum and turn right on Camelback. I know how to get there. And all the way down the steps and all the way to the car, I'm hearing, take the freeway. No, I'm not. Take the freeway. No, I'm not. And as I got to my car, I got in the car and I was backing out of my parking space. And I realized, wait a minute, what am I doing? Why am I going through this argument? Spirit is telling me, take the freeway. And I'm saying, no, I'm going to go the way I said I was going to go. And Spirit is saying, take the freeway. And it took a minute for me to realize how quickly I had gotten into that argument. And you guys have heard me say that day, but I was saying, no, we're going to go my way. We're going to go, I've already mapped this out. I already know how I'm supposed to go. And I finally realized I had to laugh at myself. I had to say, you know what, God, thank you for putting up with me. Thank you for telling me the way to go. Thank you for just tolerating me. And this is how my relationship with God goes. Everybody communicates with God differently. We each have our own relationship and our own way of communicating, our own way of being in that intimate relationship. With me, I'm constantly talking to God. I tend to anthropomorphize God. We all do that. You know, we sometimes make God in our own image and likeness rather than the other way around. So I'm constantly talking. I'm constantly sharing. I'm constantly arguing sometimes, or at least if not arguing, disagreeing. And sometimes it's fun and other times it's painful. And I've experienced all of that. But the thing about Friday was such a small thing, yet it was a big thing, because it was an eye opener for me that here I am arguing about the way to go. Spirit is saying, get on the freeway. And I'm like, mm-mm. And I realized, I don't know what would have happened had I gone down the way that I had planned to go. But there was that presence within me, that voice within me, that knower within me, that intelligence within me, that lover within me, who was saying, this is the best way for you to go. knowing that had I followed that, and I did, had I followed that, I would be guided and directed to exactly where I needed to go, on time, in time, which is the way I got there. And it was so easy. But as I was driving out the freeway, I realized that I had sort of forgotten how to get places because I don't drive around that often anymore. But I felt myself being lifted up. I felt myself being guided. I felt myself being directed. I felt myself being cared for. And this is what an intimate relationship is all about. Being cared for. It reminds me the words to an agape choir song, I Am the Rock. Don't you know that I am holding you? There I am in every breath you take. And my arms are everywhere you are. Everywhere you are. My arms are everywhere you are. I will carry you. I will stand this test of time for you. Feel me loving you. This is what Spirit is always saying to us. Feel me loving you. Feel me caring for you. I have carried you. I am known by many names to some, by many things to some, but what is real is that I'm only one. I have carried you. I have stood this test of time for you. Feel me loving you. And this is what God is always saying to us. Feel me loving you. Feel me loving you. And all we need to do in return is open up and just love God in return. Just love God in return. This is what intimate relationship is. An intimate relationship is all about. This is what intimacy is all about. Ernest Holmes says that there is nothing more important than a personal relationship between an individual and that divine presence that is at the very center and the very source of our being. There's nothing more important than a personal relationship between the individual and that divine presence that is at the center and the source of our being. Nothing more important than that personal relationship. And so as such, we need to really look at how we're treating that relationship, how we're honoring or whether we're honoring that relationship, how we are being in that relationship, how we're receiving the love that's available to us always. All we need to do is open up to receive it. All we need to do is open up to receive it because the love is always there. And no matter what we do, no matter how we feel, no matter what we think, no matter how we go through this life, the kinds of things that we do, God is just being God. God is just being God. Holmes says that God is always God, no matter what our emotional storm or our objective situation may be. God is always God. God is always God. And there's nothing that we can do to change that. What we can do is change our experience of it. What we can do is change our experience. And as we change our experience, we change our expression of it. And so we don't get to express God in the same way. We don't get to experience and express the allness and the fullness of God that is available to us when we are in that place of being closed off, when we're in that place of not trusting, when we're in that place of not following the guidance that we receive, when we're in that place of arguing and thinking that we know best, when we're in that place of separation. Because that's what that's all about. Anytime I think I know best, I'm immediately moving into a place of separation from God. Anytime I feel like I have to argue or do something different than the guidance that I'm receiving, it's because I have moved into a place of separation. Because when we're in a place of oneness, then that guidance is coming through. That guidance is coming through, and we're just following the guidance that we get, and everything, doors open that we didn't even know were there. Doors open that we didn't even know were there. Stumbling blocks fall that we didn't even know were there. When we are in that place of alignment, when we're in that place of oneness, when we're in that place of intimacy with God. And when we're in that place of intimacy with God, as I said, is when we begin to give birth to the Christ consciousness. And that Christ consciousness is the realization and the revelation of oneness, of perfection, of wholeness. And so this is why I say that intimacy is holy. Holy means whole. When we are in an intimate relationship with God, then we experience the wholeness that already is. We begin to reveal the wholeness that already is. It begins to outpicture in our lives as health, as abundance, as prosperity, as joy, as peace, as love, as all those things, as all those qualities. When we allow ourselves to be in oneness, when we allow ourselves to release those things that would block intimacy. And those are the things that I invite you to take a look at this week. What is it in your life that's blocking your intimacy with God? What is it that's blocking this relationship? The blocks to intimacy in our relationship with God can be the same blocks that we have in our relationships with humans. Anger, anger, anger. Angry because God didn't show up when we thought God should show up. Anger because of the way certain situations work out, or the things that we see in the world, and blaming God for how could God let this happen? How could God have let that happen? Whatever the situation may be. Blame, that goes right along with it. Judgment, shame, our own shame about things that we have done, things that we did not do, can block our intimacy with God because we're holding back. Shame, fear, not trusting because, well, if I trust, then that means I got to let go. If I trust, then that means I got to surrender. If I trust, then that means I got to let somebody else be in control. Well, surrender is the cornerstone of intimacy. Surrender, giving up control, giving up the need to know everything, giving up the need to be right, giving up all that. Surrendering is a cornerstone of intimacy. And so when we can surrender our own small self to that higher self, then we can begin to experience the intimacy. We can begin to release those things that we're blocked. We can begin to do those things that we know would help us to release the anger, like forgive. And yeah, it's okay to be angry with God. It doesn't change God. It doesn't change God. To admit, to really look at and admit, I'm angry with God because of whatever it is that you feel that you're angry with God. God is not going to strike you dead, which is what I grew up in Alabama, and I used to hear that constantly, that something that God was going to strike me dead for. That's not going to happen. Recognizing and admitting and realizing that I'm angry. So how am I going to handle this? Forgive God. That doesn't change God. How dare you forgive God? How dare you not forgive God? Because the forgiveness, the unforgiveness is you holding on. It's you closing your own heart. It's you holding back in the relationship. And so when we open up and decide, I'm going to forgive God, but not showing up. I'm going to forgive God for whatever it is that we are holding against God. Then that's when we open ourselves up to the intimacy that we want to have, to that intimate relationship that we want to have, to that oneness that we want to experience, that love that we want to experience. These are the things that we do for the love of God, the forgiveness. And when we move into a place of trust, well, I can't trust God because when I did, this didn't happen before. And when I did, this didn't happen before. Move into the now. Move into the present moment and recognize that God is always God. God is always God. It doesn't matter what our emotional storm may be or what our objective situation may be. God is always God. God is always God. And God, and even when things don't happen in the time that we think they should, or when the time that we'd like them to, God is always God, and everything happens in due time. Everything happens in God's time, God's way. And what we need to do is just to trust, to just move into that place of, I wish this would happen now. I wish God would hurry up, or whatever the case may be. But it is okay to wish those things, and it's okay to also trust and to know that this guidance that I'm receiving is for my highest and best, and I'm going to follow it. I'm going to follow it. The more time we spend with God, the more we get to realize when God is speaking to us. The more we get to realize when we're being guided. The more we get to realize when we're being comforted. The more we get to realize when we're being loved up. The more we get to realize how much we're being protected. The more we get to realize how much we're being directed. So many things we get to realize. The more time we spend alone, and our alone time could be spent sitting in meditation, walking meditation, going for a walk, going for a drive, taking a shower. Think about how God communicates with you, where God communicates with you. Start to really pay attention to that. There was a time in my life when, and still sometimes now, but particularly some years ago, when my most productive communication with God was when I would hear God's voice and get the guidance was in the shower. I could be taking a shower and all kinds of things were coming through. It's like, I don't have anything to write this down with, please. But things were coming through, divine ideas coming through, guidance coming through, directions coming through, instructions coming through in the shower. That happened a lot. And as I said, it happens sometimes now. Sometimes driving, there's all kinds of things coming through. It's like, let me pull over so I can write this down. Let me pull over so I can remember. Things like that come through in meditation. See where it's coming through for you. When is God speaking to you? Recognizing that God is your constant companion, constantly talking to you, constantly directing you, constantly guiding you. Pay attention. Pay attention, for the love of God. Pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention. How does God speak to me? Ask yourself that question. When is God guiding me? Because, oftentimes we won't follow it because we think, oh, well, that's just me thinking. Well, yeah, there's only one mind. There's only one mind. So it comes through our minds. It comes into our being, the guidance that we get, the responses that we get. So just being with that, being in that place of, yes. Being in that place of, yes, God, thank you. That's the place I got to on Friday. When I got in the car and realized what I was doing, I had to say, yes, God, thank you. Thank you for telling me which way to go and for continuing to tell me over and over until I realized that was your voice talking to me, telling me to go this way, and I went that way and it was perfect. Let's continue to be in that place of openness and availability and willingness to be committed in an intimate relationship, so that we don't always have to be right. We don't always have to have the answer. We don't always have to have it our way. We don't always have to do things the hard way just to have it our way. We can do it God's way. We can do it the easy way. This is what intimate relationships are all about. And so I'm inviting you to really tap into the holiness, the wholeness of intimacy. Because once we get into that, we get to experience the wholeness of God, the fullness of God, the allness of God. And our lives take off in a way that we cannot even imagine. These are the things that we do for the love of God. And so I invite you this week, for the love of God, open up and really make the commitment to deepen in your relationship. Really make the commitment to allow the guidance, allow the direction, allow the protection, allow the fullness of God to be expressed in and through and as our lives this week. And see what happens. See what happens. Making sure that your first stop is God. Just like if something really great happened or something untoward happened, the first thing we would do is run to our partner, our human partner, run and tell them what happened or share it with them or whatever. This is the kind of relationship we want to have with God. First stop God. First stop God. First stop God. That's where intimacy comes in. That's where holiness comes in. That's where wholeness comes in. And I invite you to experience the wholeness that is God in every aspect of your being. Every aspect of your being. Every aspect of your being, for the love of God. Let's turn within in this moment. And so just turning within in this moment, just to that place of knowing and sensing and feeling the presence of God right here, right now, right where we are. I know that this is the only power, the only presence, the only life, the only mind, the only breath. It's God. There's only one life, one presence, one activity. And this one is my very life. This one is the life of each of us here this day. It is that within which we live and we move and we have our being as it lives and moves and has its being in each one of us. This presence is the divine lover that is guiding us, that is directing us, that is protecting us, that is showing us the way always, that is always loving, always caring, always comforting, always blessing. And so I just speak the word for each of us this day to experience this intimacy, to experience this oneness, to experience this wholeness in our body temples and our bodies of affairs, to experience this wholeness as prosperity and abundance, to experience this wholeness as joy, as love, to experience this wholeness as peace and peace of mind, to experience this wholeness as comfort, to experience this wholeness as forgiveness and compassion, to experience this wholeness as the presence of God. To experience this wholeness in every aspect of our lives, every aspect of our being. And as we experience it and begin to live it out into the world, it goes, this wholeness. I'm speaking a word of wholeness for this entire planet, for everyone on it, just knowing that God is in the midst of every situation, every circumstance, every event. God is. God is in the midst. God is. And so this word goes out to anyone on this planet needing a prayer this day, just knowing that God is in the midst of everything, everywhere present. And so I open this circle of prayer. I pause momentarily so that you may speak the names of anyone you'd like held in prayer this day. You may speak their names silently or aloud, and you may speak them now. And so for all those whose names were spoken here this day, I know that God is right where each one is, blessing and keeping each one. And that all indeed is well, for God is in the midst of everything. This word goes out to anyone in war-torn areas, knowing that peace is in the midst of everything, for God is there, everywhere present. It goes out to government officials, just knowing that decisions and choices are being made from a place of right action and divine guidance, that which is for the highest and the best for all concerned. For God is all. And so I simply say, thank you, Father, Mother God, for the word spoken here this day. Thank you for the perfect manifestation of this word spoken here this day. I know indeed that all is well, for I know for certain that all is God. Thank you, God. And so it is.
Oh, my life is changing every day in every possible way. And oh, my dreams, it's never quite as it seems, never quite as it seems. I've never felt like this before, but now I feel it even more, because it came from you. And then I open up and see person changing here is me. A different way to be. La, 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 I want more. Impossible to ignore. Impossible to ignore. And dreams come true. Impossible not to do. Impossible not to do. Now I tell you openly, you are everything to me. You're all I care to find. And when I open up my mind, I find I am no longer blind. You're everything to me. Oh, my life is changing every day, in every possible way. And oh, my dreams, it's never quite as it seems. 'Cause you are all I need, all I need. Thank you so much.
Wow. Angels sing when you sing. I always cry when she sings. It just touches me so deeply. What a beautiful, beautiful morning here with you with us. Thank you so much. And you too, Aaron. Good job. Good job. Good job. Yeah. Reverend Sherry, thank you for that really important message about the intimacy of love of God. I don't think most of us think about intimacy with God in that way. And thank you so much. That was really powerful. Yeah. Okay. This is the time for our conscious giving. It's a time that we participate in the divine law of giving and receiving by giving of our tithes and offerings. We invite you to join us in this sacred practice by tithing here at CLF. As you tithe to CLF, we tithe to local nonprofit organizations that are giving and serving our communities and making a real difference in the lives of real people, like our fourth quarter tithe recipient, Nourish Phoenix. Nourish Phoenix is a community hub that serves vulnerable individuals and families by offering resources and providing pathways to self-sufficiency. A very valuable and important organization, and we're honored to have found them and give up our tithes to them. If you're online, you can click on the donate button on our website or on Facebook, or you may use your cell phone to text to give. And that text to give number is 844-941-4360. For in-person giving, we have an usher who is going to be coming forward to collect of your contributions and your donations and tithing as we sing our offering song, I Trust in God, and the lyrics are on the screen.
I'm thankful, so grateful. I'm one in the spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God. I surrender, I surrender. I'm one in the spirit all around me. I surrender, I surrender. I trust in God. I'm thankful, so grateful. I'm one in the spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God. I trust in God. One more time. I trust in God.
And as our usher comes forward, please repeat with me the offering blessing. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God. And so it is. And thank you, Janet, for your service again today. We always appreciate you being here. And now here's Nicole with our announcements.
Thank you. I have to say, Jorge and I, Victoria, we were in the back and you started doing Dreams and we're like, we love that song. And then I'm listening to the song again, which I haven't like really listened to since high school. And I'm like listening to it totally differently because of your talk. I was like, wow. My mind is blown today. Thank you. All right, so real quick with our announcements, we offer midday meditation Monday through Friday on our Facebook and YouTube live streams. So it's a great way to practice that intimacy with God. And it is at noon, but it's the internet. It's always available to you. So whenever you can fit it in, there really isn't an excuse, right? We also hold pre-service meditation on Sundays at 9:30 a.m. right here in this room or again on our live streams. And then we mustn't forget that we have Monday practice with Reverend Jorge at 6:30 p.m. And again, through our Facebook and YouTube live streams, join Reverend Jorge and get your homework assignment for the week based on Sunday's talks. So again, another way to practice your intimacy with God. And then Tuesday, we're so excited. It's back. Aren't you excited? We have our Community Care Connection Zoom meeting with Reverend Sherry. She had the last couple of weeks off while she was traveling, but she's back. She's raring to go. It's going to be spectacular. So make sure to join her on Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. in Zoom. And then, so it's December. 2024 is right around the corner. I will have a 16-year-old son. I know. She saw him recently and he's like this tall. Anyways, the other exciting thing about 2024 is that Reverend Mary Jane is going to be hosting our annual Vision Board Workshop. So you can join her at the Embassy Suites at 11:45 on January 14th. And this workshop is in person. And Reverend Mary Jane will be leading a visioning. And then from there, you guys will put together your vision board. But you have to bring your own materials. Sorry. So I invite you all to start keeping an eye out now. What quotes, what images, what kind of things are popping up for you? Collect those things, save them. Look at your calendars. I have spectacular calendars. Bring those in because they got great images and they will play a part for you on the 14th. So make sure you're here for that. After service today, we have our practitioners available to pray with you. We have Mary Jane and Fran in the back corner and Elena. So don't walk around with a heavy heart. Their gift to you, the gift that they love to give is prayer. So please take advantage of that. If you don't have time for that, what's your excuse? But there's also a box out on our table so you can leave a written one. That one will be prayed over for 30 days. Or if you're online, you can send an email to prayer@creativelivingfellowship.com. Please put prayer requests in the subject line. And again, they pray over written requests for 30 days. There will not be fellowship after service today. I know. It's a practitioner meeting, so sorry. But if you want to do fellowship, there's one last chance, and that is next Sunday. I'm looking at you too. Plan for it, okay? And that's all I have. All of our information is on our website or in our weekly newsletter. Back to you.
Thank you, Nicole. I wasn't surprised that time. Just a couple of reminders, my usual reminders, and one of which, is to use the treatment for supply. It works if you work it, if you use it, and I invite you to use it once a day, twice a day, more if you'd like. It's on page 262 of the Science of Mind textbook, and there's a copy at the welcome table out front and on our website. So use the treatment for supply. It really works. It's one of the most comprehensive treatments that Ernest Holmes published that I have seen anyway. And a prayer for our country is something that we have on the website also, and there are copies of it also at the welcome table. We need prayer for our country. And Holmes wrote a prayer for our country that is very relevant today. And so I invite you to pick up a copy of that or to check it out on the website. And then let there be peace on earth. We've been using the lyrics because last month our topic was our theme was peace last month. And we talked a lot about peace, and I encouraged everybody to make the lyrics to the peace song a part of your daily practice, your spiritual practice. And sometimes you can insert the word love in there. Let there be love on earth and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. It's just so important that we know that it begins with each one of us. And so those things are also at the welcome table. Continue to connect with each other, continue to reach out, text message, phone calls, getting together in person if that's what you're doing now. It's so important to stay connected as a community and just saying, hello, I miss you, I love you, I'm glad to see you, whatever the case may be. But connecting is so important. That's why we have the Tuesday evening connection meeting for that very reason. I think that is all that I have. Nicole gave out the other announcements. So why don't we stand now and do our closing affirmation and our closing song. So let's take a breath and repeat the affirmation after me. Today I commit to my intimate relationship with God.
Today I commit to my intimate relationship with God.
And I will cultivate that relationship on a daily basis. As a result, something wonderful is happening in my life right now.
As a result, something wonderful is happening in my life right now.
I know it. I sense it. I feel it. I thank God for it. Thank you, God. And so it is. And so we'll close with the peace song.
Be peace on earth and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Thank you, everyone. Happy Sunday. Have a great week. I love you all. Take good care.